Hey everybody, I'm Dan, the Psyche man. I'm here with
El Chulo Alex, boxing coach and former competitor.
the one and only. So I want to continue off of what we were talking about last time. We were talking about like your coaching journey a little bit, people around you, and just overall your experience here, just starting out boxing. So let's take it back.
Cool.
Let's take it back to 2016, Alex El Chulo Marin.
Yeah.
All right. The early days. So back in that time, before you even started Muay Thai or boxing, take us in a day of life with Alex.
I mean, I was probably in middle school at the time, and I was going to school in Sylvan. Well, actually, I think before that was Woodside Elementary. It was a cool school. I was definitely the attention seeker at the time.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like always trying to be funny in class and trying to like, I was very disruptive, bro. Miss Fowles will tell you she actually comes here. She's one of my teachers.
Oh, okay. I'll ask her.
But yeah, man. Yeah, he should. But yeah, I mean, I was just kind of doing my thing. I wasn't playing no sports at the time. I was probably playing more video games. And, I tell people all the time, I'm not really good at anything that involves the ball. So, like, no basketball, no volleyball, no football, nothing, So when I found boxing, it was like, yes, finally. It's like, so I'm good at something, you know what I mean? But yeah, at the time, bro, I was just, I was just being a kid, playing video games, having fun at school. Yeah.
Okay, and then so you got into Muay Thai, right? Like, very first thing.
Exactly.
And was it your dad that kind of got you into that first, or?
Well, I had always asked my parents if I could try boxing. I'd asked probably since I was in like 5th, 6th grade, but they were always kind of nervous about putting me in there just because I had ADHD, so I was a little bit of a wild kid, and I was always like fighting my cousins and stuff. So they were a little hesitant. They were like, yeah, I don't know. But eventually my dad, he put me in Muay Thai. And it was really cool, man. It was really cool. I ended up really loving it. Like I said, it was like the first thing I was good at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it was a really cool sport, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
And so, like when you first started, you went out for your family and stuff like that, right? You got the gloves. You tried on gloves for the first time, I'm sure. Or maybe you're just getting into the swing of things. Describe that feeling of when you first put on your boxing gloves for the first time.
Man. It's a little hard to remember, but I mean, I just remember feeling like just almost like immediate confidence. You know what I mean? Like it was a little interesting. Like right when I put on my first pair of gloves, it was like I was like the most confident person ever. I'd hit the bag with 100% confidence. I would do everything like as hard as I could. You know what I mean? I was going really, really hard in the gym. I was having fun with it. I was excited to be finally boxing. Like I said, I had been asking for so long. So, once I got those gloves on, it was like, it was just up from there, bro.
Yeah. And then you were just doing bag work from the beginning, right?
Yeah, in the beginning, I wasn't doing no sparring. It was just bag work stuff. We were just working in the gym really on like drills. We wouldn't really like spar right away. It was kind of like this where it's kind of like levels to it. You know what I mean? I never got to that sparring level in Muay Thai. I first sparred when I got here, when I got to the gym.
At the Jose Morales.
Exactly.
Right?
When I got to Jose Morales.
It was prime time.
Yeah, it was prime time at the time. That's right.
Man, way back, huh?
Way back, yeah.
And so you had just started training and stuff like that here, and then you started competing and, taking it more seriously. I want to know what it feel like to actually hit someone for the first time, like in a boxing setting.
I actually remember my first sparring match.
Oh, let's talk about it.
I remember it. I never forget it.
Okay.
It was the craziest thing ever. Like I said, when I got the gloves, 100% confidence. I was just a confident dude. And the first time I stepped in the ring, I got humbled real quick. I don't remember the dude's name. I just remember he was just this kid, maybe a little bit older than me. He was probably a teenager. And right when I got in the ring, I was ready. I was pumped. And I went forward, 100% confidence. And man, I got the hands put on me that day, bro. Like it was bad. Like he had me in the ring doing 360s and stuff.
Oh wow.
And that really humbled me. But I also think that it made me want to go even further. And really like it really made me look at it like, oh man, like this guy's really good. Like he really has like, it's like a chess match. Like he has a strategy and, he was outboxing me. So it made me really want to get into boxing further and really like learn the sport. you know, even though I got my ass beat, you know, it was it was bad, man. Like I was getting messed up.
Was it like preparation or was it more like mindset, would you say, during that match?
I would say, I would say it was a little bit of both. You know what I'm saying? I was saying I was getting my, you know, I was barely getting into it. You know what I'm saying? I barely learned how to throw a few punches at the time. We didn't even have the Warrior program. So it was like, if you come in, you might be sparring, you might not. You know what I'm saying? That day I just happened to walk in at the right time, you know, and yeah, bro, you know, I went in full speed and I got humbled. You know what I'm saying? But it was definitely more like preparation. It was more like it's time to finally get into it and see what it's like to get hit. You know, I think what Jose does a lot, even with fighters now, is he kind of tests like through sparring, like how far they're really gonna take it and how much effort he should be putting into this fighter. You know what I mean? Because there's some people you'll put them in the ring, they get hit a few times and that's it. It's the last time you see them. You know what I'm saying? But then there's the people that go and they get their ass straight beat, bro. They get like beat up, you know, and there'll come a time in every boxer's training where they will straight get their ass beat. And that's where you're really going to be tested and see like, hey, are you willing to do this? Are you willing to take it farther and try to overcome this? Or are you going to quit?
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's really cool about it. And so, you know, like I said, it was a little bit of both. It was a little bit of preparation, a little bit of mindset. So it was a really cool thing to experience. And I think every boxer, especially if you're here for self-defense, that's something that you definitely need to experience because it's a whole different world in there.
I see.
Yeah.
Were you nervous a little bit?
To spar?
Yeah.
Nah, honestly, not really. I was, at the time, I was a little fearless, bro.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, you know, it wasn't no thing. You know, my style was just forward.
In there.
My style was forward. I was a pressure fighter. I didn't have like, I didn't know how to do anything else. All I knew was how to go forward and just throw. And that's it. I would just throw. So, I would say I was pretty fearless at the time.
What are some words of advice you would give someone that doesn't have that fearless mentality when they first go into sparring or first go into like a competition-based setting to where they're like nervous or maybe they're feeling like, you know, uneasy about it because this is the first time they're actually competing or fighting against someone, right? Because your goal is to win, beat them up, kind of, you know, defend yourself. At the same time, it's their goal as well. Yeah. So what are some words of advice you would give someone that's, you know, going into that setting?
I would say, you mean like if so they're nervous about getting in the ring?
Let's just say like 2016, Alex was just nervous as crap going into that sparring session. What would you tell yourself?
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely, I would tell every fighter to just trust in the process because it is a process 100%. And, you know, some people, there's a lot of people in the gym who just, they naturally got it. You know what I mean? And there's some people that they have to get beat up a few times. And then eventually if they stick with it, like I said, they trust the process and they stick with it, then they reach that point where it's like, okay, like now I'm getting comfortable, like now I'm feeling myself, you know what I mean? But I definitely wasn't one of those kids that was like gifted and just kind of had it. You know, I definitely was the one who had to stick with the process and trust it, and then eventually it started to pay off. But, you know, like I said, you can go two ways about it. You can, you know, some people are naturally gifted, and then some people just got to, you know, stick with the process. And even on your worst days, you know, there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days. On your worst days, you know, you just got to see it as like, you know, just an opportunity to learn. Yeah. And just, you know, come back the next day and just work on it and make those adjustments. Yeah.
Did you take that loss pretty hard?
So that sparring match?
Yeah.
No, not really. I mean, like I said, luckily at the time, I wasn't really like nervous. You know what I mean? Like I said, my style was just go. I would go. You know what I'm saying? I was excited to be there. I was excited to be sparring, and I was excited to be better. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it broke my spirit or anything. I definitely think, if anything, at the time, it hyped me up. It made me like really want to get into it more and see what this is about and see how I can overcome it. You know what I mean? How I can overcome this loss. And then eventually, you know, I trusted it. That kid was still coming, and eventually I was able to keep up with him.
Oh, nice.
You know what I'm saying? So I you know, like I said, stick with the process. It paid off. And then eventually me and him, you know, he was more experienced than me, so he was always a little bit better. but we definitely reached a point where we could get into the ring and work together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel like I was just in there getting my ass beat no more.
Yeah. Plus, you were learning him. He's learning you too.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, you learn how you both fight.
Yeah, man.
So, what I want to ask too is, like, boxing has such a significant role in your life.
Definitely.
What is boxing to you?
Boxing to me is a mirror. That's the best way to describe it. You learn so much about yourself through the whole process. You know what I mean? And it definitely took me, you know, since the very beginning, since 2016, there's been a lot of different, like, just times in my life where I was seeing myself different. You know what I mean? There was times where I was confident. There was times where I wasn't confident. There was times where I was falling off and it was showing the training. You know, boxing is literally a mirror. If you get in the ring and you're not taking your training 100%, it's going to show in there. If you go into the ring and in life, you're letting people walk all over you. And now when you get in the ring, there's going to be people in there and they're probably going to be dominating because you're this kid that lets everyone walk all over them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So boxing, I would say, is definitely, to me, a mirror, and it's going to teach you a lot about yourself and where you are at mentally, and it's going to show you what you need to work on. And when you get to that point, it's going to be up to you to, like I said, trust the process and really try to work on those things, both mentally and physically. Or, you know, you'll be like those people that, you know, they get beat up and they're gone. You know what I mean? But it's definitely a mirror, man. It definitely taught me so much about myself, and without it, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it's dope.
So powerful, because what you said was interesting earlier, how, like, you go in there, it's your mindset. Overall, it's your mindset, right? You go in there thinking, let's do it, right? Let's see what the outcome comes to, you know, versus thinking beforehand, I'm not good enough. Oh, I don't have enough preparation, right? You have that mindset of already going there and let's just see what you got.
Yeah, man.
And even, you know, you get pause put on you kind of thing, and it's like, okay, that's not what I expected.
Yeah.
You didn't keep your head down.
Yeah.
Right? You kept your head up, and like you said, it motivated you to do even better and to do more for yourself, because you're like, okay. So I think that's very important and very powerful for you, even in 2016.
For sure.
To think that way. So I want you to recognize that.
Yeah, it was dope, man. Yeah.
I want to go into a segment now where it's kind of a Q&A section, right? So you share some things that on your story, I get some people who ask, like, some things to you as far as things you want to talk about as far as boxing goes. And maybe not just boxing. This is more than boxing. This is just about life in general too. All right, so let's ask the questions.
Let's do it.
All right. And I don't know who asked these questions. If they're watching this, they'll know who it is, okay?
We'll see.
So first question is, what is your biggest motivation and what kept you going?
I would say my biggest motivation today is definitely the fact that I think that my biggest motivation, and this is something I actually realized through boxing, is I've never done anything in my life 100%. Nothing. I've always been either like 25, 50%. You know, there were times where I went all into boxing and I was doing really good. You know, like I said, boxing is a mirror. You're gonna see what you actually put into it.
Yeah.
So there was a time in my life where I was going 100% into boxing and I was fighting a lot and I was getting way better and I was beating everybody up in sparring. You know what I mean? Anytime we did a weight sparring, if we fought, you know what I mean? I always had a good fight, and it always showed that, you know, I was like, you could just see I was 100%. You know what I'm saying? And then there were times where I was distracted by just things that I shouldn't have been distracted by. You know what I mean? And I was putting a lot of energy into multiple things versus the bigger picture, which was boxing. You know what I mean? So then I started putting like 25% effort here, 25% effort here, 50% effort in boxing. You know what I mean? And so now in the training, it started to show. It started to show in my fights. It started to show in my sparring, the way I trained in the gym. You know what I mean? So I think that's what motivates me the most, is the fact that I realized at some point that I've never done a lot of things in my life 100%. There's been multiple things that I've started, and I've never finished. And boxing was actually one of them, you know, but it took me stopping boxing and disappointing myself in order to realize that. And so now that I realize that, I'm like super, super obsessed with becoming the best version of myself. Like I am 100% obsessed with that. Like that's what keeps me going every single day. Is that thought in the back of my head? Like you've never done anything 100%. So now I'm making a promise to myself now that I'll never do that ever again. I'll never put 50% effort into something because I know what I'm capable of now. And yeah, man, no matter what it is, I need to go 100% now because that's just a standard that I'm setting for myself. There's no more 50%. There's no more 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's either all in or don't do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's powerful right there.
Powerful.
You ever reflect and think like, how come I didn't do 100% from the get-go? Or like, you know, and I'm sure you've matured and learned as well, right? How you divert your attention and energy in other places versus what things matter to you the most.
Yeah. Repeat the question again. Sorry about that.
It's all good. I'm saying like, have you ever reflected like why did I divert my attention to other places? Right? Was it kind of like an instant gratification thing, or was it like, okay, I don't, you know, based on mood kind of thing, you know, less emotional control kind of thing? Have you ever reflected on like, why was I like that, or what was the reason why?
I mean, the biggest reason why is because, you know, there's a point, and it's with everything. Anything you try, anything you want to do in life, there's gonna be points where you're kind of tested, and there's gonna be points where you're kind of tested, and it's gonna get really hard. There's gonna be points where it's gonna be super, super hard, and you have two choices: you either push through the struggle, you know, and eventually it'll get better, or you'll do what I did, and you'll kind of like just put in less effort because it's hard. It's hard. It's not easy, especially boxing. Boxing is not easy. Like I said, it's a sport where you're going to get what you put into it. It's a sport where you're going to take a lot of losses. You're going to lose sometimes. You're going to get your ass beat sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Why you didn't do 100% in the beginning, right?
Well, like I said, it got hard. It got really hard. So once it reached that point where everything was really hard, and it reached a point where it felt like work. You know, there was just, you know, that, and I was distracted by so many other things in my life, which was like friends and going out with friends. And I was always in a relationship while I was training too. So, you know, that's energy in itself that you have to put into this person. You know what I mean? So, distractions was one of the biggest reasons why I didn't go 100% into my boxing. But it was also the fact that it reached a point where, you know, it was just work, bro. It was just work. And there's a point where, you know, you get your ass beat because you're competing at a higher level. You know, once you reach 10 fights, you become an open fighter. And when you become open, you can fight people anywhere from 50 fights, 60 fights, people who compete nationally, you know what I mean? And now it gets really hard. You know what I'm saying? So once I started competing at that level, and I started taking a lot of those losses from people with way more fights than me, then it kind of like, it broke my spirit a little bit, and it made me go, you know, I just didn't go as hard in the gym. I didn't go as hard in the gym because I didn't really like believe in what I was doing. You know what I'm saying?
I see.
Yeah.
So almost like an emotional, like relapse a little bit. Yeah. Like, oh, dang.
Yeah, it was like, oh, dang, like, am I even, you know, and I started questioning myself a lot. I was like, can I even do this? Am I made for this? You know what I mean? Yeah, man, it broke my spirit a little bit. But you know what, now that I'm a coach, and especially like seeing the people that I used to train with, where they're at now.
Yeah.
All the boxers that are doing really, really great in the gym right now, they all reached that point. They all got to a point where they were taking multiple losses, where they were getting their ass beat in the gym, where they were, you know, it was hard to wake up. They got bad sleep. They get jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Life.
It's life, bro. And they all reached that point, but they kept going. They kept going, and now they're winning national titles. Now they're getting raked out of the country. So as a coach, it's like now I see that was all just part of the process, and I should have put a little bit more trust in it. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have expected the great results right away. You know what I'm saying? It's like I said, it's how much work you put in it. Depending on how much work you're going to put in it, it's like what is was going to show in your training and in your competition and all that. So I should have just trusted the process more.
Yeah, that's the power of perseverance and the power of just trusting the process, right? Because just like you're trying to get wins, other people are trying to get wins too, right? Exactly. Not everybody could get wins at the same exact time. It's just not how sport works.
Exactly.
But what's key, though, is your mindset through it all, right? The emotional roller coaster, no matter what you go through, right? At the end of it, you chose to rise up. So be proud of yourself, man.
Thank you, bro.
Next question. Let's talk about your change in mindset from pre-boxing to starting to train. What was the biggest change or adjustment for yourself?
Pre-boxing from starting to change my mindset.
Yeah, so like from pre-boxing, so maybe before you even touched gloves for the first time to when you got to prime time.
Okay. You know, so how did it change going into my
what was your mindset change, and what was the biggest adjustment or change you had to make for yourself?
You know, but before I got into boxing, I was a little bit of a quiet kid. I wasn't really like disciplined. You know what I mean? I was just, I was a kid. I was just having the time of my life, and I definitely lacked discipline and I lacked confidence. And when I got into the gym and I started like doing things like sparring and, actually progressing, once my progress started to show in the gym, I think I developed a lot more confidence for sure. And that just helped me overall, like kind of get out of my shell. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I was a shy kid. I was very short with everybody. I would just come in, I would train, I would leave. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely think going into the gym just changed like who I am as a person, helped me become a lot more confident. And now I'm a coach. And thanks to boxing, I can go up in front of like 15, 16 people and teach a whole class. But before then, man, there was no way. You know what I'm saying? So definitely get into boxing helped me just break out of my shell and help me just become more confident and just just believe in myself a little bit more. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So you believe, man, you can do it.
I believe, bro.
Heck yeah.
More than ever.
All right. Next question, number 3.
Let's do it.
So let's talk about your mental preparation for your very first fight. Having to show up at weigh-ins or, even before the match where you see your opponent. Describe your experience and then compare that. Well, we'll get there. But at the end of it, let's compare it to your most recent or last fight you've had and, compare the differences. But walk me through your very first fight.
Yeah, dope. So my first fight was in 2019. I remember who I fought and everything. He was a really great fighter. Very worthy opponent. Going into it, like I said, I was a fearless kid. And I was doing really good in the gym at the time. Like I said, I was getting really good at sparring. I was touching a lot of people up in the gym. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There also wasn't a lot of people to spar also. Just want to point that out. We didn't have like a huge competitive team. It was probably like me and 2 other people that were competing at the time. So there wasn't and they were different weights. So I really didn't spar them. But anyway, I went with a lot of confidence because, I was doing really good in the gym. So going into the fight, I wouldn't say I was nervous. I think I was more excited. And it definitely showed in my performance too. Like when I went in there, I was just, like I said, I was go, bro. I was go, and I got in that dude's face, and he was a lot taller than me. So, I took the space away, and I was just dominating from round 1. I was doing really good, and it's because I went in there excited. I went in there confident. But most importantly, I was having fun with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And how was it seeing your opponent like before the actual matchup itself? Was it like, okay, I'm going to beat you up? Or is it like, okay, I see you?
Well, when you get to weigh-ins, it's kind of like, you're kind of like looking around and like, who could I possibly be fighting? You know what I mean? So at first, I really didn't like know who I was fighting until I was hitting mid to Jose.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, I think that's the guy you're fighting. And I look at him, and this dude just looks straight nervous, bro. He just looks like a nervous. And even Jose pointed out, he's like, hey, I'm going to tell you something. This dude is nervous. You know what I'm saying? And so that immediately also gave me more confidence. So as soon as I seen him, and as soon as Jose pointed out how nervous he was, that just gave me like a huge like burst of confidence, and it made me want to go in there and just like, man, just straight dominate, bro.
Tear him up.
Yeah, exactly. I was just ready to tear him up, bro.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a good first experience with a fight,
great.
Yeah,
it was dope.
Now let's flip it. if you're giving advice to someone that was like the dude you fought, right? Yeah. Nervous, unsure, or maybe a little scared, right? Like who wouldn't be? It's their first actual bout. What are some things you would say, or what is some advice you would give to that person?
One thing we do with our boxers now is we have them meditate a lot. Nice. So that's one thing we have them do. We have them meditate and we have them learn how to clear their mind. Because the biggest problem a lot of the boxers have is, their mind is full of like a million thoughts. They're full of like, oh, am I good enough? How good is this dude? Who am I fighting? How many fights does he have? You know what I mean? So you're thinking about all these things. So one of the biggest tools or one of the biggest things that you should incorporate in your training is meditation. So you really learn how to clear your mind. So I definitely, if I came across a fighter that I knew was feeling nervous, I would definitely tell them meditate. That's one of the things. Another thing is envisioning the way that you want to fight during meditation. So during meditations, we tell our boxers, like, sit down, clear your mind. Once your mind is clear, think about how you want to go in there. Think about walking in there and fighting like you, dominating, and thinking about the ref raising your hand at the end.
All right.
So right away, we try to have them clear their mind and start thinking positive. You know what I'm saying? And there's fighters that are like, they're really, really, really nervous, and you can just tell they're not confident. We tell them all the time, like, just always say positive things to yourself. There's been times where I fought, and Jose literally told me, he was like, I want you to go in the mirror and just tell yourself, you're going to win. You're going to win. You're going to win over and over and over, like 100 times. And I would do it, bro. You know what I'm saying? And, it definitely does help. Like I said, just clearing your mind and just, trusting in your training, trusting in your coach, and just being confident when you go in there and really envisioning how you want the fight to go down. Because that's everything. You know what I mean? That definitely helps.
Because if you could believe it, you could achieve it, right?
Exactly, bro. If you could believe it, you could achieve it.